What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Investing Bros. We've got a lot to talk about in this video because in case you were not checking your charts last night, maybe you're waking up this morning saying, let's watch some crypto content and I'll get my news of the day. Well, Bitcoin fell. It fell by a lot. So did the rest of the crypto space, which is leading everyone in crypto to be asking three really big questions. We'll be answering those questions in this video. First of all, why? Why did the price of cryptos crash so severely? Number two, does that mean that the top is in? And the number three one, if the answer to that question is no, how much higher can we get? So let's dive into the video and answer all three of those questions. Go ahead and strap on in. Let's talk about this price action here. Going to the charts, you guys will see we did in fact have a pretty big, in my chart, blue candle. A lot of you guys are going to see red candles. We actually saw it fall. This was actually one of the larger falls we have seen during this rally, pretty much 10% to the downside. Now, that's not really that significant. We didn't see all of it happen last night. This is the daily chart, but I'm talking about from the high we had here just a couple of days ago on the 8th, all the way down to our wick. You did see a pretty big drop. Up to this point, the biggest drop that we had seen in Bitcoin since this whole rally started was 8.5, and that one happened back on the high of November 9th, all the way to that wick on November 14th. So that's the first thing we do have to address. Now the question, why? Why did this happen? Well, there's a couple of reasons why, but one of the easiest ones to talk about would just be liquidation maps. Guys, when you rally this high, you get heavy liquidity. You have a lot of longs entered in here, and you will see there was a lot of liquidity below us. We ended up blasting on through it. When you have this many longs entered into the Bitcoin space, let me go ahead and get rid of that fixed range volume profile. We're going to get back to that later. It's very easy to trigger a sell-off to the downside. Now, remember, we've also been talking about how, despite the fact that price keeps going up, whales had started to put some Bitcoin back on exchange, crypto back on exchange. So, in reality, this is a take-profit event that whales took advantage of. Why were they able to take advantage of it? Well, let's even take a look at the 4-hour chart during this rally. You will see that for the most part, yeah, we had one little bullpen in here that played out pretty nicely. But after we broke through the top of the golden pocket here at 39.9, we kind of just went through everything like a bullet through wet toilet paper, meaning there really wasn't any hesitancy. Notice that after we wicked down, we had a lot of liquidations, meaning one long just got liquidated after another, after another, after another. I believe I saw reports that over $300 million of Bitcoin were liquidated. We finally regained our composure and came back up to where? Right back up to the same exact levels we had resistance on right here, resistance and then support on right back here on December 4th. So we wick down, we break back up, and we kind of are hesitating right on the top side of this zone. So in case you're asking the question, why? Why did crypto crash last night? It's because just take a look at them, guys. Look at this explosive price action with almost no blue candles whatsoever, no resistance whatsoever. We just blasted on through, just like what we saw happen with XRP. Remember months ago when we talked about this, a lot of people did not like my call, but remember how I talked about this explosive God candle and how when you cut through resistance like that, there are consequences to pay and you have to come back down. Well, guess what? We ended up removing all and then some of that gain. And so just like XRP, you have these explosive candles that have to be retraced. The same thing is true for Bitcoin and altcoins. At the end of the day, while we'd spent a lot of time kind of affirming this area at the bottom side of the golden pocket, closer to 38,000, once we made that explosion up into the 40s, we really didn't spend any time hesitating. We just kind of blew up. And so these things are just, it's just part of charting. When you break through resistance, you come back down and hit support just to kind of reaffirm that level is strong. Now, that kind of leads us to the second question. Was this the top? And you got to stick with me here because I've been seeing a lot of other influencers talk about reasons why this could have been the top. I want to explain them to you and tell you why it is possible. It is absolutely possible that 45,000 was the top here on Coinbase. On the exchange as a whole, it got to about 44.7 was the average. Either way, I'm going to explain to you why it could be the top and reasons why you should not be necessarily that alarmed. Now, there was a video put out, brought to my attention by one of my followers over on X, that Crypto had made a video about how we would close this week, the 8th week in a row, on my candle white and his green. And then we have historically seen 40% pullbacks after 8 green candles in a row. So he was giving a massive warning saying, guys, watch out. We're going to be dropping pretty severely here. Now, let's address this one briefly. We're going to have to go back into history and take a look here. So he is right that when you go back and you look at the last 3 times that we have seen 8 white or green candles in a row, bullish candles in a row, we have seen pretty significant pullbacks. First one coming in right here back in 2017. You guys can see here 8 white candles. It was then followed over the next couple of weeks by, let's go ahead and just do it, a 39. So he's a little off there. 39% pullback. We're going to go and round that up to 40. 40% pullback. But guys, I mean, I even want to kind of deal with fears here. Yeah, we had a 40% pullback, but this was just the middle of the bull market. These are actually pretty normal. While we did see 8 red candles in a row, this is something I've talked about before, that historically there are midpoints, usually sometime around May or June, early summer, of these bull market rallies in the full year cycle that you get a significant pullback. So was it the 8 white or green candles? Was it the 8 bullish candles? Or was it fact that just at this time in the bull market, it was time for a healthy pullback? I don't know if I believe in the 8, but let's keep going on. Here's another example. Coming right out of the bottom of the bear market, we get 8 white candles. Now, you can see the first 2 or 3 really aren't that significant, but they are white. The last one, we have a huge wick, but here's another example where, yes, we fell back. Now, you'd have to make the case that you'd have to go up to the wick here to get our 40% pullback, because in reality, when the new week started, we only had about a 19% pullback before that rally just continued to the upside. But yeah, sure enough, here's another one. 8 candles in a row. They were bullish candles. We had a pullback. Now, the big pullback happened after the big pullback started the week of that 8th candle. But, you know, something I'm got to give him credit. That happens. And then the third time, right back here in October and November of 13. Once again, this one actually marked the top of that 2013 bull market. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then, of course, it wasn't just a 40% pullback. We ended up going into a full-out bear market. Now, so those are the last 3 times we've seen 8 bullish candles in a row. Are we going to make it a 4th? Are we going to see a 40% pullback? A 40% pullback, we'll just give this, for the sake of the argument here, we'll give the same measurements that he's given in others. We'll go from the top of the white wick. A 40% pullback on Bitcoin would bring us all the way back down to 26,600. Is that possible? Yeah, it's possible. We've even talked about the chances of dropping below 32. Even though I think 31, 32 is going to be very strong, I've said there's a scenario where we drop below 30,000 again. It would have to be a lot of fear, probably ETF denial, and fear that maybe ETFs would not get approved at all. So that doesn't seem likely. But let's continue on this. This is a long point, but I hope you're staying with me. He's only looking at those 3 opportunities, but what about when we keep going back historically in Bitcoin? I know these are early days, but just because we have 8 white or bullish candles doesn't mean we have to reverse. Here in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 bullish candles before we have a reversal back here in 2013. So this is a case where 8 bullish candles didn't mean anything. We also see something similar happen back here in 2011, where we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that one just went a week past, but still, you get my point. The case here that's saying, oh, we've had 8 bullish candles in a row, we have to reverse, that's not necessarily true, and we've seen historically times where that has not been the case. Also, I just want to point out here, while technically they're not in a row, you have several opportunities here in other bull markets where you see them separate. You'll see a blue candle here and there in between them. But as a whole, we've gone periods of times with massive amounts of weeks of bullish action. Even this one right here. Let's go back, and we've compared pretty heavily to the bull market, the pre-bull market halving bull run back in 2019. Even though we have some blue candles, as a whole, we pretty much had 20 weeks in a row of really positive price action with a couple of blue candles here and there. The most severe one coming in right here during the week of June 3rd, where we did see a pullback somewhere about 18%. But the fact is, in a bullish trend, you're going to just continue to move to the upside. what causes these reversals? These reversals are not happening because there's been X amount of bullish candles in a row. They're happening because price got overextended and there was a catalyst to move price to the downside. Now, are we a little overextended? Could we make that argument? Yeah, I think we could make the argument that we're overextended. We're seeing weekly charts saying we're overextended. We're seeing daily charts saying we're overextended. In fact, I think yesterday when this pulls up, I think we did print we printed the overbought here a little while ago. We're actually moving down to the downside. But just because we have had 8 green candles, white candles in a row, does not mean that we automatically have to reverse and go to the downside. Now, one reason I will give some credibility that this could have been the top. That was a long-winded segment showing you guys some historical analysis that other people are using to say that we could reverse here. I'm going to say the biggest reason why this could be the top is this right here, fixed range volume profile. When you zoom in, I tell you guys all the time, a lot of people like to pay attention to the peaks, but you'll notice a lot of times we have reversals. We're actually seeing reversals in the valleys. And I told you guys to be careful about this $45,000 area. Right there, you'll see a nice little gap. That is something to definitely keep your eyes on, that potentially that was the top. I'm not convinced necessarily, but that would be my argument. Not 8 bullish candles in a row, but rather we hit a nice volume gap, and that could have been the top out. Now, that's the reason why we crashed. Again, we crashed because of liquidations. We did hit a spot on weekly and on the daily chart where we had been overextended, so prices retracing is pretty normal. Now, 10%, not that big of a deal. Let's get into the second question. Was that the top? I've kind of presented that here a little bit, the 8 green candles, the volume gap, but was that the top of Bitcoin? Here's a couple of reasons why I might say no. First of all, as I said before, 10%, not that big of a pullback. Also, you'll see even here on the daily chart, this MVP oscillator we love to use to call reversals, it is starting to flash green. Also, when you come down to the 4-hour chart, this morning we just printed an oversold mark on Bitcoin. We're also getting those big green histograms here as well. Just some reference here. The last couple of times we have seen this mark has marked pretty significant bottoms here for Bitcoin. So in a bullish trend, in one where even though we had a 10% pullback over the last couple of days, we're still setting higher highs and higher lows, and we're flashing these oversold marks. To me, guys, I'm just sitting here saying, if you're feeling any type of confidence that the trend is over and that we have to move to the downside, you might find yourself getting wrecked, because a lot of indicators are actually showing this was a beautiful buyback scenario. Why is that though? Because there's a lot of people still believing that $50,000 price action is in fact still in play. 48 to 50,000 is the number people are talking about. Let's go back out to the weekly chart here. You guys will see, first of all, why is 48 a number people are talking about? Well, that's the top that we had back here in March of 2022, and we've seen other altcoins starting to top out some previous significant highs of 2022. Bitcoin could be being pulled like a magnet up to that spot. The other thing is, though, are we repeating history? Once again, right here, if you guys were to look at the Fibonacci levels, we have a nice platinum pocket sitting right here at $50,000, just like, I gotta adjust this a little bit. It was a little bit off there. Yeah. So just above $50,000 is our platinum pocket. That is a level that back in 2019, a bull run that we're looking very similar to right now, we made it up into that platinum pocket before the big correction. So that is kind of the questions I hope that I'm answering here today is, first of all, why did it crash? Liquidations. Second of all, is the top in? There's arguments to say the top is in, but not necessarily anything guaranteed. And the third question, if we continue to rally, how high can we go? I still am looking at this 48 to 50,000. But here's a couple of things that I think should be on your radar. What we just saw is proof that it does not take a lot in this overextended market to crash the price of Bitcoin. Was this a crash? No, 10% is not a crash. That's a healthy retracement, healthy dip. To call it a crash, I probably want to see at least 20% or more to the downside. Also, I want to see some lower lows. So in reality, I don't think I would really call it a crash until I see prices probably below $37,500. Then I think we can start to talk about the Bitcoin crash. But we are seeing a market that is vulnerable. It just had its largest dip in the entire bull run that has started ever since mid-October. So it's something to keep your eyes on. Hey, can we move to the upside? Absolutely. But it is a sensitive market. Make sure you are continuing to use your risk to reward ratios very well. You do not want to be overextended. The fact is, even right now, if you're asking Tim, should I be entering a long or a short? The truth is, maybe look for some scalp positions. If you feel really confident, maybe enter a long. I would lean a little bit more towards, if you put, I'm not going to say that because I don't want YouTube to demonetize me. If you said, Tim, you have to choose either to long or short right now, I'm leaning towards a long. Like I showed you with that 4-hour chart, looking very bullish, one that every time we've seen it bullish here in the last couple of months has been a very good buy signal. But I can't say that with confidence. I'm looking more for scalp positions. I'm waiting for confirmation, but I am looking potentially to take some good profit as we start to approach closer to $48,000. Probably want to take some profit in a position to be ready to then buy in some lower levels. This mark, while this is not confirming to me that Bitcoin's rally is over, it is telling me that a local top probably is coming and is coming very soon, and we could prepare ourselves for a big move to the downside, upwards of 40, if not 50% once again. Now, that's all I have for you guys in this video. Hopefully that helps you decipher through what is happening in Bitcoin, but let me know down below, what are your thoughts about Bitcoin? Is that the local top? Are we about to crash back below $40,000, crashing back maybe even all the way to 31, or that 40% dip down to 26,000? Let me know in the comments below. Go ahead and smash that like button and hit subscribe. We just crossed 6,000 subscribers, and it's not even Christmas just yet. Let's get all the way to 7,000. We need your help. Smash that subscribe button. And with that said, guys, that's all I have for you in this video. I'll see you in the next one.